Today's video is about choosing the right combination of truck for your deck to suit your style. So this is going to have to do with the wheelbase of the deck and the wheelbase of the truck and the kind of pop you like to have on your board. So let's start with the girl deck. So the girl deck has a 14-inch wheelbase and I've got Venture lows on it. So Ventures happen to have one of the widest wheelbases on them when you actually measure them, the way I did in the previous video about the trucks. So they have the same wheelbase as a Thunder High, and what I find with these trucks is they make the front of your deck feel heavy, which is great because in combination with a 14-inch wheelbase that makes the front of your deck feel light, they seem to balance each other out. Now the only problem with this setup is that the Venture lows are also too low. So you've got a short wheelbase and you've got low trucks, and what I find is the front of the deck doesn't come up high enough to get any sort of decent pop. So I was really struggling with doing a lot of tricks like 360 flips, frontside flips, and just generally trying to pop my board, frontside shove-its, anything like that where I like to have a nice big scoop and get my wheels up high off the ground. I was having a hard time with this. So what I am going to be doing when I set this board up again is I'm going to keep trucks on here that keep a wide wheelbase, but what I am also going to do is put some trucks that are a little bit higher on. So these Thunders, my Team Hollow Lights, are a little bit higher than these, in fact considerably higher than the Venture lows, but they still have a wide wheelbase, so I will have height in the front of my board and also it will still feel a little bit heavier. So I'll be able to maybe stand a fighting chance of enjoying my experience on this deck. So the next board we have on here is Daniel Lutheran Toy Machine. So this is an 8 1/4. It has a 14 1/4 wheelbase, which is fairly short for me, but manageable. The length is 31 3/4. So I've got some big hefty trucks on here. The Indy 149s. Now, these are the kind of truck that just feel heavy when you're skating them. And I was actually a little hesitant to put these on here. I thought, you know what, this is probably going to perform better if I put my Thunder Team Hollow Lights on this deck. But for experimenting and to try something different, I decided to put the Indies on. And also, I just really love the Indies because they make me feel, I don't know, really masculine if I can actually accomplish my tricks. So gender roles and stereotypes aside, I actually really enjoy the Indy 149s, even if just because it makes me feel more secure. So moving on, I threw these trucks onto this short wheelbase and it made the Indy 149s actually feel light. So for the first time, these trucks have been manageable because I've also ridden these trucks on, I also rode these trucks on the widest wheelbase deck I have, which is the Friendship. And the combination of the big heavy truck and having the wheelbase really wide made this board feel really heavy. So the only things I could do really well on it were like straight ollie tricks or shove-its I could pop really high. But trying to get technical on this setup was just not happening. So I've been really pleasantly surprised at riding these 149s on this shorter wheelbase than I'm used to. I thought it was going to feel weird, but what I've found is this is actually an amazing setup for ledges because I don't skate really high ledges anyways, and having the front of my board feel nice and light just made it really easy. It also has a great balance point for manuals, so this has been an enjoyable combination and it's surprised me because it's not what I typically would have assumed I would like. So I've got these heavy trucks, shorter wheelbase, makes these heavy trucks feel light. Okay, so moving on. I have this crooked deck here that has a 14 3/8 wheelbase, which is pretty long. 14 3/8 for a 31 3/4 board is a pretty long wheelbase, and Deluxe tends to do this a lot. So they give you a long wheelbase, and if I was to throw something like Thunders on here, it might actually make my wheels look like they're a little bit too far apart. Like it might kind of psych me out. but it would give me incredibly explosive pop. Now, I do think though that it will also make the nose and tail look a bit short, which I don't like. So the first trucks I'm going to ride on this deck are these Venture Lows, because I need to do a Venture Low review, and I'm going to throw these on this deck because of the extra wheelbase. Now, I said I struggled on the Venture Lows because the wheelbase was too short on the girl deck. So now I'm going to have 3/16 of an inch per truck to help raise the front of the deck higher, that I might be able to do some decent tricks and enjoy riding the Venture Lights for the couple days, the Venture Lows for the couple days that I need to actually do a review on them. Once I finish, however, the trucks I plan to put on this crooked deck are my Stage 9 Independent 139s, because this is an 8-inch deck, and I think the combination of having independence on an 8 3/8 wheelbase is going to be perfect. So the nose and tail is still going to feel fairly steep because the wheelbase is so wide, but the independent wheelbase is going to shrink it up that little bit much that gives you the Goldilocks zone. So that's what you're kind of looking for. Whenever you're trying to pair a wheelbase of your deck with whatever trucks you need, you're looking for the Goldilocks zone, where you have a wide wheelbase and a shorter wheelbase truck, or you have a short wheelbase on your deck and a wider wheelbase on your truck, and you're looking for that Goldilocks zone that's going to help the deck feel just perfectly manageable for your style of skating. So I know that was a lot of talking and probably a lot of information to try and take in, but that is my findings in the last year on wheelbase. And I've been skateboarding for 25 years. I didn't pay attention to any of this stuff until I started the channel a year ago. Like, I really only started cluing in about 6 months ago. And so the last 6 months or so has just been me absorbing information like a sponge, trying different things and finding out things that I like. So for example, the Indies with the shorter wheelbase, I never thought I would have actually liked that, yet they make 149s manageable. So let that sink in for a minute. And thanks for watching. I look forward to riding all these boards in future reviews, and for the next little bit, I think I'm just going to stick on one setup for a while and maybe do some tutorials so that I can just enjoy my skateboard for a while instead of all this crazy frantic changing stuff up. So, thanks for watching, you guys, and I hope you learned something.